us who to go.
Okay, so we are here with our March team of the month. If everyone would like to introduce yourselves. We have our team here, the classroom team with Miss Kim Faggy. Go ahead, Kim.
Hello, I'm the teacher at Resca Elementary School. We're in the autistic support program. We have Rita Markey, one of my associate teachers. We have Maria Perez, another associate teacher, and then we have Ashan Aziz, as well as my associate teacher. And then we have Kathy Balike. I say that because of Jackson. Kathy, our speech and language therapist. And then we have Megan Murphy, our OT.
Hi. And hi, I'm Kelly Hickson. I am the coordinator of the sensory impaired programs and also the feeding therapist for the North region.
And I'm Chris Heinzen. I'm the occupational therapist and feeding specialist for the North region with Kelly.
Great, thank you. So this nomination is a unique nomination. So Kelly Hickson nominated this class with a particular student in mind around our feeding program here at the IU.
I want to thank you guys for all of your hard work that you put into this student. I'm going to be very upfront and honest with you guys. When we got this program going, it was a struggle because of COVID. And now we have this program fully launched, and we know the struggles and the stresses that you as a team are facing, that all of our teams are facing out in the classrooms right now. Things have changed. We've been short-staffed, but you rose above it. You know, Chris and I were not sure how this was going to work. We came in, we did our evaluation, we put our recommendations into place. Your team watched, you asked questions, you worked together, you emailed, you communicated with the parents, you did everything perfect. You are a role model for our program. And because of that, our student is successful. His mother has reported back huge successes at home. You're reporting huge successes at school, and we couldn't be more grateful. So thank you for rising above all the challenges that we've had this year and really putting everything into place for the success of this student. So I applaud you 110%.
Thank you, Kelly, for sharing that. Now, we just want to take a minute and ask the team, because this is a unique team. This is really like an extended team, not just our classroom team. Some questions about how this dynamic has really worked out for you guys, because obviously you're seeing a lot of success. So our first question is, how have you worked together to make this successful for your student? Feel free to chime in, anyone.
I think communication, I think we're very good at communicating. We're always talking about all of our students and how we can help them succeed. I know that, like, I speak to Kathy and Megan. I don't just talk to them about speech and OT. I talk about the whole student. I'll ask them questions about like how they did in speech and how they did in OT and how their behavior was. What are you working on? What can we do to do it and reflect it in our work back in the classroom? Sometimes we'll invite them to parties, and the kids will celebrate during holidays, and we invite the speech and OT. So we're like more of a family, not just teachers here at Resica.
That's awesome. And really, I think what you said about overlapping your roles is so critical to the success of this, specifically like a feeding program. You have to be integrating that into all you're doing, right? And you're with the students every single day, and your related service providers are not. So that's awesome. Anyone else have anything to add about that, specifically thinking about how this was so successful?
Well, I think from day one, as soon as Kim's group, like her team, got placed together in that classroom, they have just meshed. They have gelled. They are able to read the needs of the students as well as each other. So even when behaviors are at the forefront and they're dealing with something like that, they know each other well enough that they can jump in and intervene. Like it's ridiculous how well they work together. And then that just carries over and makes Megan and my work so much easier. they're interested in what we do with the students, how we present it to the students. So then they match what we do every day with every student, so that the goals are targeted the exact way that they're written and the exact way they're meant to be targeted. They ask questions if they're not clear or unsure, or if the materials that they want to bring about, to make sure that it's appropriate. And I don't know, like every step of the way, that foursome that you see right there on that one square is, they are there for each other, and that whole class. You guys are, don't laugh at me, it's true. It's, I love when I see my schedule and I'm like, yes, I'm in Kim's room today. Like, I love it. It's very welcoming. The kids, well, gosh, you know, you walk into the room, Miss Kathy's here, Miss B's here. Like, it's great. It's great. It's great. And that's exactly why this student has succeeded. And I mean, I've been through every IEP meeting with Kim, and those parents are involved in everything. That it's like, I mean, without the parents actually being present in that classroom, they are there. Like, they know what's taking place in that room. They know their kids are safe, that they're learning, they're growing. It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm blessed to be a part of that room.
Thanks,
That's
Mary.
awesome. So amazing to hear about the involvement with the family too, because especially when you think about feeding, my goodness, you have to have that crossover at the home. What do you think, like, because this is very much an expanded team, right, from just our classroom team, because you're all part of this team, what are some of the benefits you've found in having these different partnerships, like, and having this extended, you know, even Kelly Hickson being involved and having all these different partners? What has been some of the benefits to that?
I'll chime in for this one.
Sure.
I'll say, like, from an OT, excuse me, aspect, just kind of getting to see that side of, like, the sensory and, like, the avoidance and just those kind of behaviors that are different from, like, what we see in the classroom, like, oh, I don't want to handwrite today. Like, it's just a completely different aspect. I mean, for me, especially, like, I remember when I was observing, like, I was fascinated and kind of like asking Chris so many questions, and Kelly, like, why is this happening? Or, like, what would you consider this? And I just feel like, I mean, for me personally, getting to observe that and see that, and also opening up, like, ideas for me in OT, like, I was asking Chris and Kelly, like, how can I incorporate feeding, like, into my OT sessions? And, you know, Chris was saying, bring lots of, like, different food items and stamping and things like that. And I did in February. The student and I made a polar bear with coconut shreds, and he loved it. So I was like, wow, like, definitely thinking outside the box, and just, you know, in my role of how to be a better OT, and, you know, just be more creative and thinking more broad. So I definitely appreciate that and loved that aspect of, like, being able to see the feeding side of OT and just how it plays a role in, you know, a student's success really overall.
And I've, just to continue on that, the last meeting that we had, the follow-up that I was actually a part of, Kim's other students in the classroom were interested. They asked if they could participate. So we actually did have another student participate in this one little follow-up feeding session. And while he was a model on some aspects of trying these new foods, to get the target student to try the new foods, because, you know, oh, so my friend is trying it, I'm going to try it. But it also opened it up for this other student to try a couple new things that maybe he hadn't tried before. So, you know, it really brought a couple, and then of course, then there's other students that want to be involved. So we had to limit it, but that interest was there, and it just expanded beyond the one student that we're there to target, but it was really kind of fun to see.
That's awesome, because a lot of our students struggle, you know, in that area with trying new things. So being able to expand this out is wonderful. Have there been any barriers to implementing and working together? And if you could even share, like, how you've overcome some of those barriers, because there's always barriers, right?
I think part of it is just kind of learning how to teach it again to, like, our students, because we have our own values, and we grew up learning, like, you can't leave the dinner table unless you eat this, or you have to eat your veggies before you can have your dessert, and all that type of stuff. So we kind of have to relearn how to teach students how to eat again, if that makes sense. I mean, we're
Mhm.
dealing with a lot of picky eaters who have like might not have even tried something before, or even a certain texture they might not like, or something like that. So like we've learned a lot from Kelly and Chris, like how to approach it in a different way. You know, instead of saying stuff like you have to eat this, you can say, oh, you can take a bite, or you can try this, or maybe, you know, smell it, or lick it, or put it on your hand, or let's like make a building with it, or let's do all that types of stuff that kind of makes it fun and engaging for the student, not just like they feel like it's a chore that they have to eat. So we kind of had to like, and I spoke to my staff, like, because some of them have children, and we're like, well, we have to approach it a different way. So that was kind of a challenge for us. And I think also like taking the time to kind of do it. Sometimes lunchtime, it can be kind of chaotic. So you
Mhm.
don't always have that time to sit with that student and have a whole like building session with their celery. So sometimes like they told us, well, just bring it back to the classroom and present it again and another time. And that really helped us too. Like we don't always have to have the student just eat the lunch at the cafeteria. Like we could bring it back and maybe he'll want to eat it in a more comfortable setting. So we also worked on that as well. So that was very helpful.
Also, I want to say short staffing some days because we have to always go help the other artistic support room. And there were days when we were not able to work with the student the way we should be.
Mhm.
And as Kim said, it was just a little bit chaotic. Even yesterday, the other student wanted to bring his tray back to the room just to see the other student bringing the
Mhm.
leftover food to use it as a snack. So
They all want to join in
yeah,
now.
that was a little kind of barrier, I would say.
So in thinking about that, like days if you're short-staffed, I mean, it seems like you still pick it up, right? You still pick it up the next day, or you're bringing the food back, you're working around those barriers, because I think we're all faced with that right now, right? So that's great to hear that you're able to continue this good work with the student. Are there any other barriers as far as like working together, being able to, you know, really make this work in the setting? For
I had
anybody
my own
else?
barrier, like Kim was talking about, is it was very hard for me, especially when you're starting to play with the food and everything, because growing up again, it was like, no, you just ate. This is time. So for me, that was a huge barrier for me.
Right.
But even just seeing Chris and even the response of the student was like shocking to me. Like even having him touch it, or like Kim said, lick it, or something like that. Just seeing his response kind of calmed me, like, this is going to work. It'll be okay. Like I tell myself, this is okay. We can do this. It's helping him.
Mhm.
So just that was my own barrier. It's just like, no, I'm not playing with food, but seeing his response made me want
Yeah.
to try more different things.
Definitely.
I think that's the biggest, hardest part with feeding is putting
Mhm.
away your personal bias and trying the new things. And that's what you guys all saw that, and then you all bought in, and that's why he's made such gains. And the flexibility you guys have of when you can work on it and different times and seeing the benefit, that's what's made this big difference.
Flexibility, that is huge.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and not only this student has made so much progress and you are changing his life, but also his family. I mean, the impact that you guys have had on this particular student's family is something that they'll be, grateful for forever. You know what I mean? So just thank you so much for all your support for not only him, but his family as well. That's a huge piece,
Thank you.
Thank you all. It was
Thank
wonderful.
you, everyone. We actually have to go get the kids.